Welcome once again to Casual Consequential Conversations. Bob likes that extra word in there. And they are casual and they are consequential. And I'm already regretting that I didn't have record on earlier because this couple has some amazing stories that we're going to hear today through this interview. So excited to bring it to you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bob to formally introduce our guest today.
Well, we're getting a 2-for-1 today, and I think that's wonderful. Gene and Al Boyko, and just reminded me that I met Al 62 years ago. How's that? That's
Pretty close.
That's pretty close, something like that. I was about 17, so.
1964 then.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, after
Wow.
high school, I worked at Stroke Division, and Al was my second boss in about the third day I was on the job. So, and then he was my boss for the entire summer, which was really kind of cool. So, Al and Gene, long-time lifers in the valley. Lifers, wow.
Yeah, that's right. I was born here in Port Alberni, October 7th, 1935.
Wow.
And went to school here at the 8th Avenue School. My parents both came from Europe to escape the tyranny that was present back in the early 1900s, and we've been in Port Alberni well over 120 years, I think. My father came here in 1918 to work in the camps, and the logging was very important in the Alberni Valley, and I'm sure it still is. But anyways, I worked and lived in the community and participated in a lot of things. I have been awarded with two medals from the Governor General of Canada for my community service, and I'm very proud of that. And it's just an incentive for people that live here and work here in our beautiful community with all the amenities that any resident or tourist would enjoy. And I'll turn it over to Jean.
Hello, I'm Jean, and I was born here in the West Coast General Hospital, the wooden one. And anyways, and I lived in Alberni on Leslie Avenue for about 6 years, and then we moved to Bainbridge. So we got to that old logging town, mill town, and the railroad ran through there. And so anyways, my dad worked there with Paul Hertel, and they moved there because they could load the logs onto the trains and get them to the water. And so anyways, then I moved to the Beaver Creek Road, the Creeker, and then I went to the ADSS the first year they opened it.
Wow.
The old one.
The original one.
Yeah.
The original one, yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
good for
I
you.
like the hospital story because I was born there too, and I remember that laundry chute. But when
Yeah.
I was a kid, I thought it was for bodies. I thought that's how they.
Yeah. And I had my tonsils out when I was 6 in the hospital. And then I seen that chute.
So, pardon my ignorance, but where is Bainbridge? I've heard of it.
Beaver Creek
Out in the
Road,
Beaver Creek.
Thompson Road.
Oh, okay.
So
It was a community?
Yes, Great Central Lake was a community. With
Okay, I
with a
knew
fire
that.
hall
Oh, yeah,
and a
yeah.
school, and that
Okay.
Bainbridge was a community. We had several, satellite communities in this, and they were large communities. So
Oh,
camps
okay.
and people living in them.
Well known, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Much bigger than the McLean Mill in community size.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But there was a great big sawdust pile, we would go to, and the pond was there. They put the logs in the pond,
Yeah.
and a mill pond.
Yeah.
And so we swam in that when we were there. It was actually really interesting childhood, and we could climb the Beaufort, and
Oh, wow. Really?
Just before I was 7, we moved to Beaver Creek Road, and then I didn't know what to do. And after my father passed away in a bad accident down the canal, what I did, my mom tried to put me. I went to Anne's Academy, St. Anne's
St. Anne's
Academy in
Academy.
Nanaimo.
Hmm.
I liked it and everything, but they didn't make me stay there. So I said, I went to work. My mom said, you have to go to work. I was 14, and I went to work in the plywoods. Worked there 7 years.
At the plywood mill?
Yeah,
Good mill
Like,
here,
like
yeah.
near where I
Here.
live, yeah, just
Yeah.
down there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
that's
Wow.
how we built our house. And,
Oh, wow, good for you.
I could just get the lumber off my check.
Yeah, that's great.
I hope I didn't bump into you, because I worked in the plywoods graveyard shift after school with Eric Sorensen and others, and
Oh, yeah.
worked there. We liked the graveyard shift because it was an hour shorter. Remember, the day and the
Yeah.
afternoons had to have the extra half hour, and we got the hour extra and got paid for it. So,
Yeah, well, I worked graveyard 5 years and swing shift 2 years.
what was the guy's name? Frank. Last name was Frank. Big foreman, big fella. Scared the heck out of me.
Hastings, was it?
No, it wasn't Frank Hastings. His last name was Frank because he had a daughter named Myrna Frank.
Okay.
I dated her, and I was afraid because he was a great big guy. I thought if he knew I dated his daughter, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a thing I heard. I heard McLean's Mill mentioned a while back, and I never really worked for the McLeans, but I worked for Don Rowe when we were logging here on lot 105, and when we were trucking the fir and the cedar went to McLean's Mill, the hembo went to the M&B pulp dump. Out on the Albernian, the dump was destroyed during the tidal wave,
Oh, wow.
and never rebuilt.
Yeah.
But anyways, I hauled sawdust from there for home heating. I hauled lumber into that mill so they could use the planer. Different Jippo mills that were around the community, and hauled lumber from there to Campbell River, Courtney, and it was a busy place in those days.
Boomtown.
And McLean's Mill was an asset to the community because it kept a lot of people working there, and it was an experience to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So when did you start at Sprott Division?
I was there a couple of times, and they. I think it was in 1952. I worked at Deep Lake, and we had to stay in a bunkhouse up there at the lake's edge, and they came to me and said, well, they needed a man down at the main camp at Camp 1 as a signalman. Otherwise, it was called a whistle punk, and they cleaned the image up a little bit by calling the person a signalman rather than a
Whistle punk.
whistle punk. So, anyways, and I could stay at home with my parents, so I took that job, worked in Camp 1 till the middle of December, and we were working in 3 feet of snow. And I left that there, and then I was in the community until March, and then I got a job at Camp B or Camp A, Franklin River, as the same thing, and the foreman was a hard-nosed guy, Barney Bordelow, and my brother was working there as well, my older brother, because I had an older and a younger brother, and unfortunately they didn't make it there. I'm the only one left in our family. But anyways, they paid me 5 cents more an hour. If somebody needed a softer job, they'd kick me off the whistle punk's job, and I'd have to go sit in chokers, but he paid me the same right through, which was all right. I didn't mind that. And I stayed in Franklin River for about 3.5 years. And the most important part of my job, I worked as a second loader on the recovery crane, the steam crane that was there. When we weren't patching up some wreck or loading some railroad cars that were tipped off in some obscure corner of the claim, we just loaded logs out of the coal deck pile or hand bombed the line, and we got 8 loads a day out of that. It was hard work. And the most important thing was after the accident in November, where the locomotive, the number 7, went in the river. I was a substitute brakeman there because I remember Jack Bell, when he was the foreman, stood out in front of the crew. There was 500 men in that camp, and he stood there, and if he said to you when you walked by him, "Go stand behind me," well, that was your ticket. You were fired. You know, that's how he handled it. And he said to me, I thought, well, I better go pack my bags. And he said, no. He says, you're not. It was a Monday morning actually, and he said, there's a brakeman short. Those guys were pretty heavy on the John Barleycorn, and lots of times I worked there on Mondays and Fridays, and that's why I called myself a substitute brakeman. And he told me to be careful and pay attention to the head brakeman, because he was in control of the log dump. And we'd start off from Camp B with 80 cars, loads,
Wow.
and then stop at Coleman Creek and drop 40 off there. And then we'd get to camp, the beach camp, and we'd take 20 and park them in the siding, and the 20 he'd split that into 10, and I never could go down there because he didn't want me there. I just had to run the switches for the engine to go through there. And after that bad accident, when they went into the river, they were building a new donkey sleigh on one of the yarders there. So the rigger that was there, Bill Primerikoff, he rigged a spartry, a big boomstick, is that all it was. And there was a guy in our bunkhouse. In them days, it was 8 men to a bunkhouse, 4 in one end, 4 in the other, with a wood stove in the middle. And the rule was when you hung your clothes up that were damp, it was raining or snowing or something, the senior guys got the nails closer to the stove. And if you took one of those nails, and when you came into the bunkhouse, you'd find your clothes on the floor, because that was the rule.
So sorry to interject, but I'm curious, the number 7, are you talking the current number 7?
The current number 7,
Really?
the old one, yeah.
So whereabouts in the river did it go?
It went in right at the, that was a 2-span bridge on the railroad, and the first span, I think it was 90 feet. And they got to the storm, the freshet that was involved there had washed the center span out.
Oh.
So in visibility, they were there in the dark.
Oh.
And they could see the tracks going right across the river, but there was nothing under.
Nothing under the tracks. The tracks were just suspended. You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
Steel
jeez.
was there, but
And so that's what. Yeah, sorry, Bob, but the engine went out there, and it was backwards. Like you know, they could run that engine forward or back at the same speed. And the thing was that the engineer, he was a senior guy, Ed Crosby. He took and bumped the guy that was running the engine because he had more seniority, and that was the only one working. So he took over that job, and he's the one that lost his life in there.
Oh.
And the fireman that was Stan Malachowski was sitting on the upstream side of the engine, and when it went in the river, it went in on his side. I talked to him quite a few times at the grocery store, and he wrote a book, and it was sold to one of those men's magazines. I had it for years, and during one of our house cleaning episodes,
it disappeared.
Tossed.
Oh boy.
Because I had him sign that story.
Wow.
And but I lost it. Anyways, he said he fell into the river, and he said he wasn't a swimmer. He couldn't swim a stroke. But he says the current dragged him right against the creek edge or the river edge.
Yeah.
And he said he grabbed a hold of a bunch of small alder trees and pulled himself out.
But the engineer lost his life
And so
in that
did the
accident.
head brakeman. Yeah.
Really? What
Yeah.
year was that?
That was in 1954.
Oh wow.
November 1954.
Really?
And then after they rigged up a spar tree, like I mentioned before, and they had another locomotive, and they built a little bit of a tail track with rails
Yeah.
into the river and the edge and dropped it down. And they they built another bridge to replace the one that lost.
Yeah.
And they were on that one, and they pushed the rails in, because the guy in our bunkhouse had filmed it. He's
Wow.
still alive here in Port Alberni, but I think he's lost that 8mm film.
Oh,
And
boy.
he used to
Really?
show it if there was new men coming in. He'd always hang up a sheet, blanket, or
Yeah.
something
show
on
it.
there, and show that film there.
Wow.
So we watched that all the time. And when we went down there, the shop there didn't have a lift and lower crane. If they needed something heavy to move, they had to bring the crane in there, and that was our job. And the head loader said to me, he said, "Al, you're the smallest guy." When we took the water tank off that, and the boiler was, they had to take the boiler out and see if it was broken. And he said to me, he says, "Your job is to go down there and grab that." So I had to climb under that greasy boiler with
Wow.
a foot deep of oil and tar and crap that was left over from that. And anyways, I got that done, and we took the boiler out, and the welder came from Vancouver, cut the boiler in half, and they inspected it, and it was okay, so they welded it back up again.
Wow.
And I met that guy 2 years later. I was working for Somas Shipyards as a welder's helper, and this guy came out. It was a new man that day, and it was the same guy that cut that boiler up.
No kidding.
From the Union Hall in Vancouver.
Wow.
And it was good.
What a
They
story.
got it back in and put it back to work again. But that small engine, they left it. The number 7 stayed and ran from siding 7, which was the camp. They had about 8 rails that were across, and the other locomotives would drop in all the loads and take a string of empties to where they were designated to go. And it was just did the run from siding 10 to siding 7 from Nitnat River to the camp and back and forth there. I
Wow.
worked on it there a couple of times.
Most people wouldn't know it, but you talked about at Bainbridge, you talked about Deep Lake. There was logging bridges and logging, railroad at Deep Lake. I remember the trestle out there. As a kid, we fished
Yeah, there's lots of fish.
So Deep Lake is out that way as well?
Out Ash River, out past
Oh, okay.
Kelsey and that. But you're, and it's got 2 names in there. Is it Oshana or something?
Nim, I forget.
There's 2 of them.
Yeah.
2 native names for them. But there was railroad. You know the log train track.
Yeah.
If you ever develop them all in this town, there's railroad bed all the way out to Great Central, all the way to the lake, across the Stamp River by Busby's. There was a lot of railroad here at once upon a time.
Yeah, I was a bridgeman at Sproat Lake. I got on to there became a vacancy, and the management there asked me to take on that job, and they would give me as much assistance as I needed, and it worked out good. And I changed a lot of 3-span bridges from the railroad to 2-span truck bridges, 2-span bridges to 1-span, and all the other things that had to be done when they went from trucks. Went from rail to truck logging, and some of those spurs are still used today. There's one just down the road here from us on the main highway there. They had the logging road ran, or the logging railroad ran from Great Central to Shoemaker Bay, and then about in the 40s sometime it switched to trucks, and they'd lease the land off the native band, the Sea Shop. And anyways, the lease that had expired, and I think the price went up, and the company built their own road.
Wow.
I was around when that happened. I remember the blockades.
That's 1971. Yeah. because I built that bridge on the pipeline, over the pipeline at Sterling Arm.
Yeah.
And the engineer said to me, he said, we built it all out of red cedar. And the engineer said to me, this is going to last 50 years, because it was 49 and a half years. Gene and I took a drive on a Sunday, and there was a crew down there rebuilding that bridge.
Really?
Yeah, so they cut it off at 49 and a half.
No
years.
kidding.
Good.
Good.
50, yeah.
But I did a
Wow.
lot of that.
Should have used yellow cedar. Might have lasted another year or two. You know?
I don't know. Well, I know I was a shareholder of that company, and they got their money's worth out of it.
Yeah. Al, he's relatively humble, but in the days when I worked with him, the sides, each side would load. They weren't highway. They went from preloaders to highway trucks or whatever, or vice versa. But I remember working on his side, and our secret was we'd get 9, 10, or 11 loads out a day, where other sides were only getting 5, 6, or 7. He was absolute highball, and he hustled. And I got in trouble with him once because I ended up getting Al Carndiff, Joe Haas. I'm trying to think of some of the names. Jack Pippin, of course, running the engineering. He was a hot engineer. Like he brought the logs in real fast. And Al was in charge of the whole show, but he was up the back of the landing checking the blocks and that sort of stuff. And if I got moved up, Al Carndiff broke his leg, and only worked there about 3 weeks or a month. I got moved to groundman, and long logs came in, and you're supposed to wait for the senior guy to come down and buck the logs before they load them on a truck. But I got anxious, and I bucked a few logs, because if you made 3 cuts and $3, you got a little extra pay. But the senior guy gets the extra pay first. So it's almost like the nails by the wood stove. He came down and gave me hell. Next time he called me, well, you were way at the back of the landing, but he could hustle up and down a hill faster than anybody I ever saw on logs in cork boots.
Well, that's the way it was in them days. If you didn't hustle, you were gone.
Yeah.
So you've been out to the McLean, you've been to the McLean more than I or anybody else around town. You've seen the 90-pound tail blocks, the big tail blocks they did? I'm a young chokerman, and he says, come on, we're moving the side. He says, come on, son, grab that block. And he reaches down and swings this thing up and gets his 90-pound block over his shoulder. And I've been playing rugby and bigger and tougher. And about 4 or 5 times. Finally, he shows me how to get it up my shoulder. I said, okay, we're going up there. We start walking up these logs, and he's going from log to log. And about halfway up, I fell me down into a hole in this log. And I'm like, boy, do they make loggers tough.
They did, yeah.
Well, that's the way it was. But anyhow, I did a lot in the community here. I was a member of the Alberni Valley Rescue Squad for 18 years.
Yeah, many years.
Yeah.
And 3 years I was their president, and that was my term there. And basically, the way the rescue squad was broken down into groups, and my part of the job, being the president, was to pay the bills and make sure everything was copacetic.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of good secretaries and treasurers that wouldn't let a nickel go by them. They had the books balanced all the time, and it was great. And I just moved over to somebody else, and I'm a life member of that group. I'm a life member of the Canadian Logger Sports Association,
Good for you.
and that's what I was recognized for the medals.
Yeah.
Logger Sports, Al was the spark plug that generated Logger Sports here. When I worked with him in the bush, he splicing and throwing axes in between any sort of break, and I got into throwing axes a little bit. But he became a champion.
The champ, wow.
I competed in 5 different countries:
Did you really?
Yeah.
Australia, New Zealand, America, and Japan, and Finland.
Oh, wow.
And it was a great experience.
Oh, bet.
And I did a lot of traveling, and not half as much as my son did. He did a lot more than me.
And he was doing the same thing?
Yeah, different events. Yeah. Okay.
What about me?
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, yeah. Okay, enough about you. Let's talk to the good-looking one. I know where your daughter got her good looks from. Anyway.
Well, when I was 80, I won my last contest just before the COVID.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In Lake Cowichan, I was first.
Did you really? And when you were 80?
Eh,
Wow.
And what was it? Was that
Logger, axe throwing,
axe throwing? Yeah. That,
Really? So how far did you have to throw it?
20 feet.
20
20
feet
feet.
and
hit the target.
and it
Hit the
bullseye.
target,
Yeah.
2.5 pound axe. And
Oh, man.
It's lucky he didn't teach me very well in axe throwing during the breaks, okay, when we were logging, because Bob Summerfield, remember him, the crazy loader? When I was groundsman, one of the things you do was climb up, you're on the log, or on the truck cab, and if there was branches sticking out, sweeps, you had to run out and chop the branch off.
Yeah.
Well, Summerfield was, and I'm out there chopping a branch off, and he swings the log over my head, tries to knock my hard hat off. I turned around with the axe and I flung it at the shovel. And hit the two grates in front of him there,
Yeah,
sideways. But if he taught me how to throw an axe properly, I might have killed somebody.
yeah, you might have.
He was crazy. And then Joe was a good shovel operator. Joe was awesome.
Yeah, I remember those names, and there was a multitude of people working there.
Oh yeah.
Consequently, you had to accept them.
I forget who the foreman was that was really cheap on chokers. He wouldn't give us chokers, and you had to use Jaggered chokers. And Pippet, or somebody had us hook onto a stump and then blow go ahead, and then blow go ahead again. And I guess Jack would really pour the coal dust to it, boom, and break the choker. Now, if the chokers are broken, you're normally running 3 chokers. And if the foreman came up and saw there was only 2 or even 1 choker going back and forth, you weren't getting any production, so you get new chokers. That was about the only way you could get them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Some of them were pretty tight.
And then we
but
have
Gene, back to Gene.
three grandchildren.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're 24, 20, and 19.
Ah.
And you should see them take the in the
So it runs in a
contest.
family.
Water sports, yeah, awesome.
And they're all log rollers.
Oh, wow.
Are they all local here?
Yeah,
Or-
and then we travel all over the place,
Yeah.
countries,
Water sports competitions.
taking the
that's
kids
awesome.
and
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got a great life, and a great way to do it, and a real energetic one too.
Oh well, Mike, he says, he says if I don't do another thing, he says I've had a great life.
Did you ever get to tree
Great.
climbing?
I did that at work, but I didn't do it in contests because I was in Vancouver one time, and a friend of mine from Lake Cowichan slipped and fell about 80 feet, broke his back, never worked for 3 years.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I've seen a lot of
Wow.
accidents.
But my grandson has taken it up, and he's used our timber in the back here as a training tree, and he does very well. We've had 2 different companies come down here and film the pole climbing in the back there. Once there was 3 men from England, and there was a girl from Alberta, and she was a good climber.
Wow.
I just seen a thing on Facebook about her, Kat Spencer, her name was, and they did I never did see the final result of that, but it didn't show up here.
Wow, anything.
And that's the way it goes. And Gene got interviewed by the CBC here once for them
Yeah.
in that. But
Well, our son he just lives up the next house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he built a log rolling pond. Mike did, and so all the grandkids learned to log roll on there. So it was
So you have one son?
one son.
One son, yeah.
We adopted Mike,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
adopted some.
so we didn't get any kids right away. We were married when I was 18 and he just turned 21. And so after 5 years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
yeah. So anyways, we said we wanted children, so
Good for you.
we adopted Mike, and he's been a wonderful kid. It's the best thing we ever did.
Ah, that's great. That's awesome.
Good for you.
So
And
now,
nice to have him close at hand. And that.
now
That's
he's
good.
helping us a lot.
Yeah,
He gets
yeah.
the wood, and that's all it's.
I noticed all that wood in the back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he's still.
Yeah, I got
It's still
chased off
done.
a light in a fire. I looked at she says, go look at the thermometer, the weather station.
It's 24 degrees in
And it's
here.
24 or 9 in the house, and it's 10.8 or 10.9 outside.
Yeah, so
We
that
would
helps.
forget it. Um, but anyways, the logging industry is it's changed
Oh, yeah.
a lot. Everybody is they're logging smaller diameter
Yeah.
We used,
timber.
we used to laugh at those things, call them toothpicks, and now
Yeah.
they're milling them now. They're milling down to 4-inch tops,
Oh,
not 8/4s.
yeah,
But at least you can hand bomb
yeah.
them.
Well, when I was in Finland, we were guests of the Alstrom family. They had several paper mills over there, and they took us to a setting. And the engineer that was guiding us, I asked him, I says, "Well, how many times has this been logged?" Well, he said, "I see you looking at all the old stumps that are here." He says, "From what I can see," he says, 3 times. But he says, "What's carried on hundreds of years before that?" He says, it's a good question.
Yeah,
And they logged that particular timber 3 times, and the latitude that we were on was the same as
same as here.
Fairbanks, Alaska.
Oh, that
Oh,
far.
really?
Oh,
Yeah.
We're that far north
Wow.
in September, and it hadn't rained, but they'd the summer they'd cold decked all the wood, and then they forwarded it out.
How big are the logs there?
It's the same thing, this big.
Little
All
ones.
that big, yeah.
In 90 years, that's where they logged.
Yeah.
The turnaround was 90 years on
Wow.
a species. And it's-
So the valley, as good a place as any.
yeah, the thing is with the Alberni Valley, when I grew up there, it didn't matter the age of the person, whether you were 8 years old or 18. There was always a lot of things to do there. We were lucky. My father, he was a railroad worker, and he was usually the steel foreman, building the railroad into the drainages that they were following and taking them out again. So he worked at that China Creek watershed at the base of Egg Hill, the mountain back there. That's where Camp 3 was, and it was there from 1924 to 1934. Then they moved to Camp 1, and that's where we had one of our other hobbies was this.
There's hobbies, collecting bottles.
Oh,
Collecting,
really?
oh,
We did
digging
Wow.
the old camps, that's awesome.
This
Look
is
at
Wow.
that's a
That's a
pop bottle.
120
That's a
year
pop
old
bottle. That's
120
heavy,
year old
isn't it?
pop bottle, like,
Really?
Rummings,
your
yeah.
own glass, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Eric Sorensen and I dug around in the old camp where Sprout sawmills were by the
Yeah.
community hall out there, and up in the what was the railway builders, the Chinese village up there. And I found bronze incense pots and some stuff in the garbage there.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We found some of those at Great Central.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where my fishing
Just fell
equipment is.
Sorry.
this is
That's a
Yeah.
smaller one.
I don't know where my
Worcestershire.
I'll let her talk.
Oh, really? That's what
no,
that
no,
is.
this road.
By the way, they don't break very easily. They're
I can
well,
tell,
Well,
yeah.
well-built
Yeah.
bottles.
Yeah. So how old would these be?
Well, they're from before 1900.
Oh,
That
are
would
they
be
really?
in 1870s, 1880s.
Oh my,
Yeah,
Patterson's.
take all the
That one
kids
that Jean just
and
had,
go
it
bottle
would
digging.
sell for about $150
Really?
if you wanted to buy one.
Yeah.
And in our collection downstairs, I got the green ones, the bigger bottles,
Yeah, I remember the green
and
ones.
they were about $175.
Wow.
Because I went with one of the persons that were living in Union Bay during the First World War. The gentleman was born in 1900, and he took us there to where these old camps were, and the most popular beer bottle was the Canadian Brewing and Malting, and they were based out in Nanaimo,
Oh, wow.
where the coal mines were.
Everybody had a pit, and they buried the garbage cans and bottles just in a pit. And then when that one's full, you dug another pit and did it.
Wow.
Yeah,
You
well,
can go around.
one of the rules that we used, if we were on a trail, we'd take a stone or a piece of limb and throw it a distance off. offhand,
Yeah.
throw it out, and that's where we looked. Because if they were coming from the taverns or whatever,
Oh, that's
as far as they could throw it.
that's
That's
as
a
far
good
as
touch
they
where.
could throw. That's where the
And that's where you'd find these.
Especially
That's
when
great.
they were building the railroads.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you just go to where you figured their camp was.
Yeah.
And maybe you can find all those there. We found them down there.
Probably
at
still
the end
some
of
around.
Cavern Lake.
There's lots there.
Oh,
The only reason we don't go anymore is that we've already gone to all the places we know.
Yeah.
Kind
Well, listen, you guys,
great,
you know, we could most likely talk for hours, and I'd like to hear more about you know, I'm not hear about it, but your dad's drowning on the fishboat, taking stuff down the canal and hitting a dead end and things like that.
Yeah,
Your mom swimming to shore
yeah,
and things like that. It's just, you know, they're so interesting stories that are the history and the fabric of this valley.
yeah.
Talk about fabric of this valley.
Oh,
You know,
for
you
sure.
meet two here.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I had
no,
idea.
it just,
So it's a
yeah.
wonderful interview.
And our geographic location, being a valley as we are, we're most likely the most close knit. Family next door, family here, family there.
Yeah, yeah,
Many communities, and I think that's got so much value.
yeah,
And then having people like you
yeah,
here
yeah,
makes it all that more valuable.
yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. There's this has been a great interview with Al and Jean, and Consequential Conversations. Look us up on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. This one will be released shortly. It is absolutely fascinating. Thank you both.
Great. Good to have you here.
Thanks. Good to see you too.